Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Off the Top, where I talk all things New Zealand Warriors and give you my thoughts on the Manly game that happened on Saturday night at Mount Smart, 22-22 all draw. Um, and it's just a massive game, a real tough game. But yeah, just going to get into my review right now. If you guys are here for the first time, please give us a like and a subscribe to wahsup TV for more New Zealand Warriors content. We are really pushing it at the moment. We're doing live streams most nights. I've got my good friend Ash doing a wonderful job on the channel as well. So please give us a like and subscribe. We appreciate your support. Firstly, just want to give a shout out to 1NZ. I had the opportunity to go to the home base there at Mount Smart. I want to thank Kimberly and the whole crew for inviting me on. Did a little interview with Daz's. If you guys know Dazza cooked, he does wonderful bakery pies and delicatessen stuff. Just had a great time there. Took my wife. We had a bit of a date night. It was fun. But yeah, thank you 1NZ for your support. And yeah, appreciate all that you guys did and enjoyed myself at the game very much so. So thank you very much. But let's get into this game, guys. My prediction, if we go back to my prediction, I thought it'd be a close game. Not in the way that I thought we'd probably be the more dominant team. Credit to Manly, they came out strong and played a really good game plan, and ultimately they were just really, I suppose, clinical with the ball. And I kind of made a point that whoever was going to be the most clinical would win the game, and I think that kind of stands true. Is that I think when Manly got the ball on our goal line, most times they scored. On the other hand, when we got the ball, there were definite opportunities that we missed. When we look at the start of the game, we almost had 3 or 4 drop balls, unforced errors, and that's just not how we play usually. To see that many drop balls early on was just kind of alarming that the guys were a little bit hyped up, or we were a little bit, maybe a little bit too much energy, or just not focused in, or lackadaisical. I'm not sure what to put it down to. But Manly came in and just were very sharp in what they wanted to try and do. I think their game plan in terms of style-wise, they had a really good structure. The second try, if you think about it, attacking the open side, recognizing that Dallin was a bit higher up in the field, they attacked that side with numbers. They catch us out, as most teams have been at the moment, catching out our right side attack. And they score off that, and then a nice structure play for their third try to go 16-0. Working channels, distribution by Travojevic. Just like I said, clinical with the ball that they had, and hardly any errors on their account, and a nice long kicking game. I mean, the kicking duel throughout the game was a big battle in terms of who would get the most yardage. Sometimes we might win a few sets. Majority of the time it felt like they were winning some sets. It was just a massive game from DCE and Sean. But if you think about their game plan, I think they played really well within the structure, and defensively as well, they were really strong too. Their forward pack, Paseka and Aloe for that first stint, Olakuatu throughout the whole game was just threatening and damaging. Jake Travojevic, Lachlan Croker were really good in defence in terms of getting the numbers at the line. Marker defence was super tight. There wasn't much room for Egan. So you got to really acknowledge them as a good team. I think they'll be thereabouts in the top 4, top 6 this year. They look quite solid. Defensively, they jammed when they needed to. They had a good read on our plays and how the style we would play with. Luke Brooks chimed in at the right times. Their wingers handled the pressure that we gave, although we didn't win that battle where we pinned them down their end. I think they found a bit of space. So, yeah, I want to give them a lot of credit. I think it was just a great performance by them. But yeah, if you go into the second half, I think we started to, the try to Dallin before half time, the try to Jazz was actually a really good example of being patient with the ball and allow the openings to come when they came. I think in the first half, we probably pushed the pass a little bit too much. And we saw, Montoya taken out to the sideline. There was just a lot of errors, sloppy play, lead runners dropping balls. I think that was due to a good defensive plan, jamming the outsides and putting pressure on the likes of Sean and Tamaide. Egan, not getting exactly what he'd like most of the time, and very limited him in terms of market defense, those types of things. So we were frustrated, I would say. But then we came back into the game over time. And I got to give credit to our boys for being patient. Most times the Warriors of old, and we got to acknowledge that this is a new era. They do not get frustrated to the point where they give up or they do silly things. They stuck to their principles and systems, fought themselves in. Dallin, we needed a lucky break, and Dallin was there to make the intercept. He read Brooks really well. Brooks forced that pass, and we go into halftime 16-10. I just was blown away by that. It felt as though, and you could tell it when I was at the game, it just felt the energy just dropped. You couldn't hear a pin drop when it was up 16-0, but we fought our way back to get to that. And it was massive because if you look at the start of the second half, they tacked down Rogers' side. Nice face ball across to, I think, Travojevic. Roger was holding for the outside. Tamaida really caught in the bind, but double lead runners. They hit the similar to us. They hit the center and do a really good job of that. DCE just really amazing. Him and Sean at this time really playing at a high level for guys that are kind of on the back end of their career. And just thought it was really good. And it felt then even it was like, how are we going to pull this game back and to play? But we found it was a grind out for a period there. I mean, it just felt as though there was some errors, there was some good things, there was some bad things. But then we kind of got the try to Sean, and it felt though we were going to come home strong. Manly did a good job of stemming the tide at times, but then we dropped ball close to our line, and there were just a few errors. I think overall we struggled to deal with the size of their forward pack. I think the Paseka and Aloe did a bit tough for Sipley when he came on. If I can acknowledge him from the first half into the second half, did a really, really good job. Aaron Woods did enough to keep the momentum going for them. So that forward pack, I think, muscled up really well. Our guys, if I'm being honest, did really well as well, but they had to muscle up the whole game. It did impact our defensive line at times. I mean, you saw guys on the opposite side of the field at times, like a Barnett, really covering into a different spot on the field for a forward, and forward likewise on the other side, Barnett on either side. So they were really pushing around our defensive line. Our boys did well to cope, but you felt as though, and me personally felt as though we were missing a Dylan Walker. Really missed a Dylan Walker and a Marata, And yes, we've got good depth. I appreciate what Jazz has done and the likes, but you feel as though, man, Dylan would have changed the tempo a little bit. And so there's just those things, little things that we are missing our key players a little bit at the moment. But the guys that came on, I thought Levon was awesome to come in and play in the middle. I thought he's going to initially go out to the edge. I know Ali even did some work in the edge when he came on. So it shows to the level of our depth that they're flexible, that they're being asked to do a job and they're doing the best they can. Webby trusts them. I think Laban is in that tier of he's the first guy amongst the Zayus, the Dimitriks, they're the first. He's the first one off the top. To see him be pushed into the middle tells me that it's going to be Laban and it's going to be Zion, and then maybe whoever else is next. So with Jazz's injury now, and Bunty out, Marata still out, Dylan Walker, we don't know yet. Seems like it's going to be another week, maybe I'd say week or two. We'll have to find out. But you'd have to say Zion Mayu might be next in line. But yeah, anyway, really credit to the team. Those errors at the back end when CHT came on. I thought CHT did really well to pick up the energy and attack. I like the use of him as a lock in this situation. Showed his versatility and just class. He's a really good player. Brought a lot of energy in the middle. Started to get the movements going left and right. And then there was the area between him and Barnett, and then Sean did the 7 tackle set. It just felt like it wasn't going our way. But credit to our boys, we found a way to just stay in the fight till the 80th minute. Not drop the head, not give up, not do anything silly. If anything, I know, the draw felt as though it was fair. Yeah, I think Manly in ways would be disappointed. I think actually, it's just not a massive reason, but I think Manly should have iced that game a little bit better. There was 3.5 minutes to go, and DCE kicks it out, grubbers it out. If they maybe look back at that, could there have been something a little bit different? Could they have gone for the high kick and try to pin them down in the field? If I'm not being critical of them, but I think I think they mismanaged the ending of the game. So just as much as they deserve to win, or should we say, I think they mismanaged the ending of that game as well. So I think there's a little, things in detail. Go back to the Storm game. If Barnett doesn't charge down, do we win that game? Aloy, if he doesn't, attack the kicker, maybe of course they would win. But there's little things in learning how to ice a game, how to close it out. I think if they're looking back at it and being honest with themselves, they probably say, "Oh, we could have done something a little bit different there." But yeah, I just and then we come back and they tried to Sean. I mean, they were jamming the edges all night, and then he breaks that tackle and passes to Dallin. We get the penalty off the drop kick, and you could the crowd was just really into it. I mean, it was cool being at the game because you saw like everyone was leaving around the 5-minute mark, and there was about a couple thousand people in each of the exits. And then when Dallin scored his try, everyone turned around and just sat on the stairs. It was pretty cool. And then obviously the Golden Point era period. Yeah, we missed a beautiful setup. Would have been to seal the game if Tohu didn't drop the ball. It happens in footy. That's just part of life. It's a shame we couldn't complete, but the credit, what was a big part of Webby was saying is that we defended our way. We defended. We didn't. They had 7 tackles set off the drop kick, and they didn't even get near. Likes of Barnett was huge. I think Barnett for me was the player of the game. I mean, he was at everything. He was at every contact. He was doing as much as he possibly could. I thought he was absolutely amazing. And I think, ultimately, at the end, a draw was sufficient. I want to acknowledge Travojevic at Turbo. He was awesome. You saw in detail how he would push into the A defender, especially on defense over the halfway line, kind of creating a wall, and the illusion maybe giving to Egan that there's not those spaces there for him. And so it actually helps support the defensive line to either shift to on the outside to not get stripped on the outside, and vice versa. He just created an illusion and was able to push up in the line to help his markers out and to help the defensive line. Now we're looking on reflection, how could we have exploited him being in the line so much? Because he was in the line even 40 meters from their own line. Could we have chipped him behind? Is the other things that we could have done upon reflection. I would be interested to see how we could adapt to that. Maybe at the next game against the Seagulls, if they give us the same type of look, what can we do to counter that type of pressure from the inside and on the outside? What are some other things we got to look at? But really credit to them and their game plan. That's why I felt as though a lot of our shifts felt like they were shut down. I think Travojevic was helping to provide that extra space, and the defense did really well. But for our team, I think they fought well. A tough game, a great opponent. I was impressed with seeing guys like Ale, Laban, and CHT do something a little bit different than what they have been usually doing. Being put under the pump a bit more. I think Ale did a pretty good stint while he was on. It does, I think Webster, for me, to put Laban in that spot in a high pressure situation and to pull Ford off. I'm not sure if Ford got an injury or not, but to pull him off and say, "Hey son, go out to the left edge, I need you to do a job in Golden Point in the back end of the second half." Webby, he's not afraid to pull the pin or trust in these guys and use them in big moments. So I was really impressed with what Webby's, and overall impressed that these guys are ready to do it. That's the main thing. So I like seeing that. I think defensively, we struggled with that. We'd say I definitely feel our bench was still a little bit light. The errors and not being able to deal with the pressure from the Manly defence, what they were giving us. How can we better adapt? Instead of just going through the motions through each play, what can you do to mix it up a little bit to try and keep them guessing? Maybe then you pull Travojevic back if you do a little kick in behind. There's other options. I mean, we probably could have used the ground game a little bit more. Grubbers, used the moisture on the ground to get them in goal. We only really started to do that in the back end of the game. And we got repeat sets. So there's probably a lot of evaluation going on. Again, another example of a big game that we didn't win, and we're looking for that statement win against a top team. Souths, upon reflection, is just a really team in turmoil, not a good evaluation. Manly was the better one to look at, and it was tit for tat. And in fact, they were dominant for majority of their game. So we have to really look at the drawing board and say, what are we doing wrong, or what do we have to improve on, and when are we going to have a statement win to solidify us as a threat, a genuine threat. That's my concern. But overall, I think the team fought hard, like really hard. No one gave up. I love that about this team, that you might be down 8 points with 3 minutes to go, and you find a way. You just find a way. That's credit to the mentality that Webster's instilled, that these guys are hungry, they still want it. But yeah, got to go to the drawing board and look at a few things. So that's my review of the game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I might have missed a few things. I was at the game and just enjoying myself, so I probably missed a lot of it. But just from my observations, wasn't the end of the world. Yes, we had a shocking start, really poor performance overall. But I think we're still on track. We should still be strong to go even to a Dragons who are looking pretty good themselves, and get a result there. But we obviously got to continue to trust in the model, trust in themselves, continue to prove that they're worthy of the top 4. I think the guys are really locked in. But big test for our depth right now. Jazz out. Laban, Ali is looking like the senior player off the bench right now. Could we sneak a Walker in? If we could, that would be huge. But if not, it's going to be on Laban and Mayu to do a big number, big challenge for them to come in and help out. Because if you think about it, Adam played the whole first half. He played 50 minutes straight. We needed every ounce of that to keep in the game. You can't keep doing that every week. You can't. Some of our guys look a little bit tired. The Cape Wells, the Barnetts. Yes, we're loving it. Tohu, we're loving what they're doing, but can they maintain it? We need that depth to come in and help out. Dylan Walker right now couldn't come any quicker. If we can get him this week, that would be awesome. But if we can't, we're just going to find a way to survive. Can continue to rack up these wins and give opportunities. Like Mo, if it's your turn, brother. Improve your point. Give your best opportunity. Laban, 3 games in a row. Do your best, brother. CHT, continue providing that variety and the utility value that you have. So that's the challenge, but I think our team's up for it. I definitely know from attitude point to come back in that type of result, even with all the errors that we had, the team are up for it, man. And Webby's got them locked in for sure. But great game, enjoyed myself. But yeah, leave a like and a subscribe please here, guys, to wahsup TV. We appreciate your support, and up the wahs.